You're listening to Online Pet Health Podcasts with Dr. Megan Kelly. Continuing education for veterinarian rehabilitation therapists. Learn more at onlinepethealth.com.
Hey Vetrehabbers, so it is my 100th podcast. I want to say thank you to all of you who come every single week to listen to me ramble on about all things vet rehab, and to all those vet rehab therapists that I interview from all over the world. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge so freely so that we can all learn and be better vet rehab therapists. So a big heartfelt thank you to all of you for your continued support. So many of you know that I have a passion for marketing, and I'm not sure when this actually started, but I know now that I just want to learn more and more about the field of marketing. And I listen to marketing podcasts. I cannot stop reading marketing books, and I absolutely love learning about it. And I want to know how we can be better at marketing our vet rehab practices. So I share this passion on a weekly basis in my weekly marketing tips newsletter, as well as in the Business Vetrehabbers Facebook group. So for those of you that are interested in signing up to that newsletter, I will post the sign up URL as well as the link to get to the Business Vetrehabbers Facebook groups in the show description. So if you also follow me on social media, you would have heard me go on and on about a book that I read, and I've read this book about 4 times. It's called The Marketing Rebellion. And I think it's a really important book for us vet rehabbers, and it'll change the way that you market your practice. I highly recommend that you read this book, and I'll post the link in the description for you should you wish to purchase it. So I reached out to the author, Mark Schaefer, and I was so excited when he agreed to come on the podcast. But before I speak to Mark, a quick word about our sponsors. So PulseVet are the global leaders in veterinary shockwave technology. They manufacture the ProPulse and Versatron family of products. Now, for those of you that don't know what shockwave therapy is, it's a non-invasive, high-energy sound wave therapy that can be used in small and large animals to treat multiple soft tissue as well as musculoskeletal conditions. With over 20 years of clinical research, PulseVet is used by top veterinarians and vet rehab therapists to improve the quality and speed of healing. It relieves pain, stimulates bone as well as tissue growth, and generally just improves the ability of these therapist patients. So for more information, you can go to pulsevet.com. You can also meet the PulseVet team at their virtual exhibit stand at the Vet Rehab Summit in November. So over to Mark. Today, I'm super excited to have Mark Schaefer. He's an internationally acclaimed author, a keynote speaker, and a lecturer. And he wrote the book, Marketing Rebellion. And this book has completely changed the way that I market. So we're going to dive deep into a few of the points that Mark raises in his book. And I just want to put it out there, Mark, that I'm a little bit starstruck. It's a real honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you. That's so kind of you to say. And it's funny. I've done quite a few podcasts with people from South Africa in the last few months. So somehow my message is getting to South Africa. So that's exciting for me.
Mark, the audience that we're going to be speaking to are all vets and vet rehabbers. And marketing is not something that is our strong point at all. So when I was at vet school, we didn't learn anything about marketing. I think in my 5th year, I had like a course that was maybe like 1 semester called practice management. Mm-hmm. And it was very entry level, like accounting. I think the only thing I can remember is net profit and gross profit, but nothing about marketing. And I'm obviously giving my age away a little bit now because I was at varsity in the 1990s and there was no such thing then as social media. And, you know, if I look at now sort of the digital marketing space, it's so difficult for people that are even in the digital marketing space to keep up. So the vets are we're like 10 steps behind everyone else because we don't have that foundational knowledge. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all your insights and all your knowledge, and so that we can help our vet rehabbers to be able to market more effectively and in a better way going forward now in 2020.
Sure. Happy to help.
So you've authored, I think it's 8 books now, is that right?
Yes, that's true.
So I think I have all of them except one of them, except one of your books. But what really amazes me is your ability to be able to predict what's happening in the digital marketing space. So, I mean, you see that there's a problem before anybody else has, and then you have to research it, find a solution, and then write the book. And I'm guessing that it takes quite a long time to write the book. First of all, research about it, then write about it.
That's true.
So you're researching and writing a book, you know, before it's even a problem. So what I want to ask you for Marketing Rebellion is, when did this idea for the book actually start? And how did you even think about this being a problem going forward for us?
Well, so thank you, first of all, for reading all my books and being a supporter. You know, and you're exactly right. I mean, writing a book is so much work. I mean, it takes 2 years of my life. It's not something that I take lightly. So it's something I really have to commit to. And what I saw happening, Megan, is as I went around the world and met different marketing executives, I kept hearing this theme over and over again, that, you know, people said their marketing just wasn't working like it used to. They felt stuck. They felt like they were falling behind. And sort of the pivotal moment for me was I was invited to this meeting of all these chief marketing officers of all these big companies. And they wanted me to sort of facilitate their meetings. And so I was sitting at this table with all these, you know, top executives from big brands that you would have heard of, you know, famous companies. And I said, well, you know, what's keeping you up at night? You know, what's the problem you're having now? And as they went around the table, every single one of them said, we're falling so far behind. Things aren't working like they used to. And I almost laughed out loud, because that's what I hear from the little companies, from, you know, from vets, from, you know, entrepreneurs. And I thought, here's the biggest companies with the biggest budgets and the smartest people, and they're having the same problem. What is going on? And my original hypothesis was that technology was moving so fast that people were feeling overwhelmed. And that's what was causing this problem. And certainly that's part of it. But when I started getting into the research, what I found is, you know, indeed, the technology is moving fast, but our customers have moved away from us in a dramatic way. In the last, you know, 15 or 20 years, now our customers, they've got the accumulated knowledge of the human race in the palm of their hand, right? And before someone even would visit a vet, there's some likelihood they've already figured out what they think it is, right? So business has changed a lot, but we've kind of, our marketing hasn't changed. And so we've kind of done the same things year after year. And maybe we try to do a little bit better on Facebook, or we try to do a little bit better on our ads, but our customers have moved way away from us. And their expectations of how they want to connect to businesses is far different. And that's what the book is about. It's sort of a wake-up call to say, look, everybody, the customers need something different now. They're crying out for something different. In fact, they're rebelling against us if we don't listen to them. And so it's time for a change.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously where the name comes from, the Marketing Rebellion. And
Yes.
in the book, you describe 3 different rebellions.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go through those 3 rebellions and then sort of end off where we are right now? So how our clients and our customers are seeing our marketing?
Yeah, well, when I started researching the book, it sort of dawned on me that, you know, customers are mad at marketing and advertising. I saw this statistic that really was quite, made me sad, because, you know, I love marketing and I love business. And it said that many people have just resigned themselves to marketing. Just like, these people are so stupid and they're interrupting me and they're abusing me and they're spamming me. And I just have to, you know, it's not going to get any better because they're marketers. And that really made me sad. And it made me realize that this is a pattern. So the first rebellion really occurred in the early days of marketing and advertising. And advertising in the early days meant making some remarkable promise to get people to notice you. But those remarkable promises became more and more remarkable until they were lies. And so customers rebelled, governments responded, advertising became regulated, and that was the first rebellion. You can't lie to customers, right? The second rebellion really happened at the beginning of the internet. And it's this thing that I talked about earlier where, all this information that we had in our companies, that we had in our governments started moving to the people. And this was a very dramatic impact on businesses because we used to make money on the secrets, on the stuff people didn't know. That's how we sold cars. That's how we sold insurance and vacation plans. And now the people that are coming to work with us or buy from us, they know more about the cars or the vacations or the insurance than we do. And so that was the second rebellion, this information rebellion where there are no more secrets. So no more lies, no more secrets. Now the third rebellion is about control. And that's where a lot of businesses are still stuck. We have this idea that we control our message. We control the sales funnel. And what the research shows, and I want to, emphasize that this isn't my opinion, this is backed up with a lot of research in the book, is that the sales funnel is just gone. The customer journey is a tangled mess. They're not paying attention to our messages. And instead, the customer is the marketer. More than around 2/3 of our marketing is occurring without us. It's a recommendation on social media between friends in a neighborhood about what we have heard about this veterinarian. Should we use this person or not, right? And on reviews, and even these people we call influencers, who are really just friends online that we know and that we trust. So the world has shifted in a very dramatic way, and marketing today sort of means waking up to this idea that the customers or the marketer, they're telling our stories. How do we help them do their job? That's really marketing today. Now, there's some place for advertising and there's some place for the things that we've always done. Some of that stuff still works, but we have to sort of realize that in this third rebellion, the power has shifted and the customers are in control.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think about myself, if I'm on Facebook or if I'm on YouTube, as soon as there's anything that says sponsored, I scroll straight past it. And at the beginning, I just click through. But the funny thing is that, before I'd read your book, when I was thinking about marketing, it's sort of like I was disjointed as to the consumer and then being the person that has the practice and actually doing the advertising. It's sort of like I didn't connect the two because I was doing that exact thing. So I was just pushing my message onto them, and all my marketing was just about a big shout out, like, here I am, this is what I do. And it's so strange for me, like only after reading your book that I actually connected to and say, hey, like, you're actually doing exactly what you hate.
Oh, I appreciate that honesty and that revelation. And Megan, what I'm finding is a lot of marketers are having the same response. I had some fear when I came out with this book that a lot of marketing people were going to hate it and there was going to be a backlash. I at one point I sort of thought, oh my gosh, all this stuff that we held on to, and I was the same as you. It's like, this is what we thought marketing is about. And I'm about to write a book that says this is not what marketing is about, and all the marketers are going to hate it. And the exact opposite has happened. The marketing people have said, you know what? I knew this was happening. I could see it happening. I just ignored it. I didn't pay attention to it. And the subtitle of my book is The Most Human Company Wins. And I think that's really important because what I'm trying to emphasize is a more human-centered approach to marketing. And the first step in that is to think about what we're doing in our businesses. And if we're doing things that people hate, stop it. You hate it. Your customers are going to hate it. It's really that simple. And stop abusing people. Stop interrupting people. Stop spamming people. Stop filling their mailbox with direct mail that they don't want anymore. So that's, I'm glad to hear that you had that realization, because that's what a lot of business people, come to that conclusion when they read my book.
I think about it, and I think maybe it's the disconnect between advertising and marketing. So because I don't have a marketing background, when I look at marketing, I just looked at these adverts of these big brands and what they were doing, and they were like shouting out about their brand, and I think maybe that's where the disconnect is, because we just think, well, that's an advert. That's what we need to be doing. But you can market in so many different ways. And if you don't know how, then you don't. You just keep on pushing the message.
I think you're sort of bringing up a very important point here, is that for a lot of people, marketing is, you're just trying to keep up with what other people are doing. And that doesn't necessarily work anymore. And, I think my favorite story from the book was the soap story, where I talked about how, soap, traditionally, that's been one of the biggest advertisers ever, right? Yeah. And the big brand soap companies have been going down, losing market share. And I was at a friend's house, and she had this soap that was handcrafted from a local company, despite all this advertising. And I said, why did you buy this? Why do you love this brand? And she said, well, I'm not sure that I love this brand, but I love the hands that made it. And she went on to tell me about this family who makes this soap, and how they give back to the community, and they're creating a sustainable business, and they help out with their entrepreneurial meetings. And she was so enthusiastic about this family, it made me want to go out and buy the soap, which I actually did. And so I think there's a lot of lessons there, because she said, I don't see ads anymore. She said, I watch television all the time, but it's all streaming video. And I listen to the radio all the time, but it's Spotify, and it's iTunes, and it's audiobooks. I never hear ads. And I have an ad blocker on my smartphone, and there's no ads in my newsfeed. She said, I would say my advertising consumption has gone down 95% in the last 5 years. And that's not uncommon for all of us, right? We're choosing to consume content in a way that does not include ads. And so if we're saying, oh, our advertising isn't working, let's just do more ads, that's the wrong response. And if we look at what big companies are doing, because they're way far behind. Small businesses, like, the people who are listening to your show, and me, I have a small business. We're in a perfect position to make this pivot. We're in the perfect position to be the most human company, to show our faces, show our smile, show our heart, and connect in new ways that the big companies can't.
Yeah, I think for the Vetrehabbers, I think that we have a very human business. We are very connected to our clients, but I think that we just don't often show it in our social media and in all the ways that we can. So there's we in our practices, we are human. We have that empathy towards the clients, and we're obviously looking after all the dogs and cats and horses. But we got to show all of that, right, in our marketing. So we've got to, like that company, show the human side. That's really what we have to do. So you chat in your book about 5 constant human truths. Can you tell us about those and how we can tap into them to adjust the way that we market?
Yeah. Well, these might be a little bit different for different businesses, but I think any sort of business can relate to this. And what inspired me about this was an interview with the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. He was interviewed in Wired magazine, and the reporter asked him, what's the latest new technology? What are you excited about? And he said, well, that's a very interesting question, but the more important question is what's not changing, because that's how you build your business. And he said, look, I know people will always want a low price, vast selection, and free delivery. It's impossible for me to think that that's going to change. So he's not obsessed with technology. He's using technology to serve these unchanging human needs. So what I challenge people in the book is to think about what are the unchanging needs of your customers, right?
Mm.
So don't put the technology first. Don't think about how do I create more email or create more ads or create more content or whatever, right? We've lost our way. Marketing has become sick. We have to think about what do our customers really want. So the things I talk about in the book, an important one for me, and I think an important one for you and your listeners, is belonging. We have a belonging crisis in our world today. That the more time people spend on social media and the internet, the more lonely, the more isolated they belong. But there's this sort of amazing emotional connection that we have with our pets and the people that help us take care of our pets. And so we have to think about this longing to belong, to be acknowledged, to feel loved. Those are some foundational human needs. And that may sound like really big and aspirational, but as you said, these are things that your listeners are doing all the time. It's natural to them, right? And we just have to show how that can show up, on social media, for example. And I thought of this one example. It's not a vet example, but it's a woman who's an orthodontist. She put do you use the same name in South Africa?
Yeah.
The person who puts the braces on your teeth,
Yes,
right?
no, orthodontist, yeah.
So, I mean, that might sound like kind of a boring business. How do you make people feel acknowledged? How do you celebrate customers when you're an orthodontist? And what she did is when one of these teenagers got their braces removed, she put a crown on their head, put a cape on, and gave them, rolled out a red carpet, and they played this music, and they made that child just feel like a king or a queen, and clapped and rang bells because of this accomplishment, right? And so this is a special day.
Yeah.
And what the orthodontist said, we are with you. We want to celebrate this emotion. And they're taking pictures. And they're sending these pictures to mom's cell phone. And mom's taking those pictures and posting it on social media, right? So the customer is the marketer. And we're helping them by creating this celebration and this wonderful emotion. And the kid's so happy to finally have these braces off. And it is kind of an accomplishment that a lot of people don't appreciate. So there's a lot of things that we can do because there's so much emotion with pets and with the animals that we love. And so there's endless opportunities for vets to do that same type of thing.
So, I mean, we basically need to be creating moments where they feel like they belong, and it makes them feel special, and encourage them to share on social media. Or, I mean, one of the things that I find hard is, and I know that a lot of the Vetrehabbers do too, is to try to get to people to actually write reviews. Do you have any tips on how to encourage our clients to help us do the marketing for us, say with reviews and posting pictures of us?
Well, it's very, very tricky. And you're right. It is difficult because people, even if they have a great experience, then they go home and they get caught up in their daily hurricane of their lives and they forget. The one thing that I want to say is that we should never offer any sort of incentive. I mean, that's at least excuse me, at least in America and many other countries I'm familiar with, that's illegal to incent someone to leave a review. And that might seem easy, like, hey, we'll give you this thing if you write a review. I think the best thing is to simply, the big thing is they have to be reminded. So if it's possible, one thing I would do is maybe, even if it's important to the business, is make a personal request. Either the person who's signing the customer out or even the vet to make a personal appeal and say, look, you know, this really means a lot to us. We appreciate your business. You know, we're in, you know, especially now we're in tough times. You know, is there any way that you could leave a review? Then, is there a way to have a reminder on, you know, the follow-up email? Is there a way to have a reminder on the invoice for the bill or whatever this, you know, whatever they're getting? You know, if there's something, instructions going along with the medication that they're getting or the special shampoo or whatever that they're getting, you know, because could there be a reminder on that? I mean, people need to be reminded 3 or 4 times before they'll actually do it. So I think making a personal appeal is powerful. You know, can't be ignored. You're having a face-to-face agreement, and it may even happen that when they come back another time, they'll say, "Oh, they asked me to leave a review and I didn't do it." So I think the personal appeal and then, you know, 3 or 4 reminders is the best way to go.
Yeah, because I think often we just sit back and just hope that somebody does it. We don't actually actively go out and seek those customer generated marketing ideas and reviews and posts. And I mean, we can even go out there and ask them to take pictures, share your pictures, tag us.
I mean, I've even done that for my books because, you know, I think some of my books have like 150 or 180 like 5-star reviews, and that might seem like a lot, but thousands of people read my book. And so when someone tells me, when they write me a note and they say, "Mark, your book has changed my life. This has been so amazing," I'll write them a note back. I said, "This means so much to me. Thank you for taking the time. Could you just cut and paste that into a review?"
Well, I'm embarrassed to say I haven't written your review. So I'm going to go after this podcast online and I'm going to go and write your review.
You are my biggest fan in South Africa.
I am. That's
so I appreciate that. But so I mean, I don't take it personally. It's just an extra step that a lot of people don't even think about. And I'm okay with that. But it helps a lot. I mean, as we just talked about, the customer is the marketer. And when you write a review, you are giving organic advocacy to say, this is something I believe in. And this is something I enjoyed. And I think you would enjoy it too. And that is a review from someone like you is better than any ad I could ever take out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is all of us want reviews. So on our own pages, on our own practices, we want comments and engagements on all our posts and social media. But how many of us are actually going out there, your pages and your social media platforms, and you've got to go out and do it yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah, you do. And I think people recognize that and they pay attention to that. And I also want to encourage people that if they're not getting a lot of engagement and comments, don't necessarily be disheartened by that. I mean, almost all the people who connect with me, who hire me, I've never heard of them before. They're out there, they've been reading my content, they've been reading my blog. They're creating this emotional connection to me, which is what great branding is all about. And they've sort of been, stalking me. They've been silently just, enjoying my content and building this connection. Then all of a sudden, could be years later, they'll say, "Oh, we have an opportunity to bring in a speaker or to do a workshop. Mark, you're the guy. I've enjoyed your content so much." And that's the way a lot of the world happens. You don't even know what's going on out there. So don't be disheartened. Engagement is tough to get. And it's not really the best indicator of whether you're going to get, business or not, because there's a lot of people out there enjoying your content that you don't know of.
So just keep being human, basically. Keep showing your human side, and people will be out there looking at it.
You just have to be consistent. There's no shortcut. You need to put content out there. You need to connect with people as best you can, day after day and month after month. And I posted something on my blog that was it was a chart that was even surprising to me. So I showed a chart of the number of subscribers to my blog, month by month by month, for the last 12 years. I've been blogging for 12 years. And I've had articles that have just gone viral. that have been huge. They've been some of the biggest articles ever on marketing. But if you look at the subscribers, it's a steady line. It's just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And there's no spikes at all.
Yeah.
And so, even when I have something that goes crazy, it's just a little bit better, a little bit better. You just keep on doing it. Consistency is more important than genius. And, it works, but it takes time and it takes patience.
Yeah, because I think sometimes we think there is going to be this next big marketing thing we're going to do. So we learn about something and we think if we do this now, we're going to get more followers or we're going to get more clients. And it just doesn't work like that. Like you say, just be consistent.
It doesn't. Viral doesn't even really matter that much. It really doesn't. Maybe once in a blue moon, someone will become famous because they did a music video or something. But for 99.999% of the world, it's slow and steady. That's how it works.
Yeah. So Mark, I've got one more question for you. So I'm guessing that there's another book on the horizon. So any chance that you're going to share with us what the next big thing in digital marketing is? You probably get asked this question all the time.
Well, I get the question from people who care about me and my book. So I appreciate that very much. Well, let's put it this way. I had an idea for a book, and I've had this idea for a while. And then, a couple months early in this year, it was starting to settle in like, yes, I think this is what I want to commit to because, it is going to be a couple years of work. And then the coronavirus crisis hit, and I'm just not sure it's the right topic now. So, and, I've been sick myself. I've gone through this period where I've been recovering from the coronavirus, and I'm sort of like just waking up again to figure out what is my place in this world, and, what's the world going to look like. And so I'm going through a period right now of trying to figure out, will this idea still fit? So I don't know. I've got a couple different things that I'm tossing around, but there just has to be a huge belief in it and a commitment to it. It's got to be something that I'm passionate about because it takes so much work.
Well, you know that I will be following you, and as soon as your next book is published, I'll be the first one to get a signed copy this time.
Thank you.
Awesome. Mark, thank you so much. I think that what you shared has been so helpful, and I really think that the Vetrehabbers out there are going to listen to the advice that you've given, and I hope that it really helps them with their marketing plans for the rest of 2020.
Thank you so much, Megan, and thanks for all your support and help and your friendship down there in South Africa.
Thanks, Mark. Have an awesome day.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about veterinary rehabilitation. For more information about continuing education for vet rehab therapists that you can do online, you can go to onlinepethealth.com. I'd like to thank you for listening to this podcast and, of course, thank our sponsors, Pulse Vet. We thank them for their commitment to their mission to improve the quality of life of the animals that we all love by developing, validating, and providing advanced shockwave therapy at the highest level of support and service. Remember, you can reach them at pulsevet.com or info@pulsevet.com. See you all next week.